Welcome, everyone. My name's Mark with TeachMePCB. I'm brought to you tonight by Advanced Assembly and Royal Circuit Solutions. And thank you for all of the support from all of the sponsors, including DigiKey, Walkwee, Fixture Fab, uh, who else? Altium. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but thank you, everybody who helped to make this course possible. Anyways, tonight's just another sort of an impromptu check-in. We're going to see what people have out there for us, maybe show off some boards. We aren't going to have Jesse tonight. He's doing a little house siding repair. And while I wait for a few other people to join us, I might just get started on another project and we'll go start to finish. Something along those lines. So with that, if you're out there in TV land, please feel free to join me on screen. You should see the link in the description for the YouTube video. Come over to StreamYard, and then when you do, close out your YouTube. Then once you're here, talk about whatever it is that you guys want to talk about. So hopefully we'll see you here in a minute. But while I'm waiting, let's go ahead and see if I can't pull up another project here. So years ago, and I will share this with you in just one moment. I just have to move some screens around. So years ago, I bought some displays from a website called buydisplay.com. And I lost my cursor. Yeah, I have no idea where my cursor is. There we go. Let's share. It's too small to see. Share screen. There we go. And I would like to share screen one. All right, and here's Elliot. Hey, Elliot, how are you?
Hey, good evening.
Good evening. So let me finish a quick thought, and then I'll drop the floor over to you.
All good.
So anyways, my next project is going to be working with some displays from ByDisplay. So you guys are probably aware from your Arduino kits that you can get these things, 1602, 16 characters across 02 lines down of displays. And if you've ever played with an Arduino, you've probably played with one of these. But what you might not know is that these things actually come in much larger versions. 20 by 4, right? It's 20 wide, 4 down, a 2004. And you might have also played with a 40 by 2. All of these things are relatively easy to interface. It isn't until you do something stupid, like get a 4004, come on, that you start running into trouble. So basically all they do with these is they latch two 20 by 2s together. So two different enables, two different things. Well, guess which ones I bought. So my next project is going to be making use of these, and I'm going to create a GPIO expander. I don't know if I'll do I2C or SPI, probably just I2C. But we're going to interface with those things and make some use of some displays I have hiding in the corner. So anyways, that's what we'll work on if people ever leave me abandoned during office hours, which I hope they never do, because I hate doing actual work. You know how it is, Elliot.
I do.
So, all right, man. Well, let me stop sharing and bring you on screen. How are you?
I'm doing good. Same thing as Monday.
Snowed in?
Yeah, just frozen now. It's not so bad.
Yeah. You're in Seattle?
No, I'm down in Portland, so.
Portland, okay. A little further south, yeah. We don't have those issues in Southern California so much, so.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a rarity here anyways. We just love to complain.
That is one of the joys in life. Older I get, the more I enjoy doing it.
So I'm really hoping to see some other folks join and see if they share their boards if they've got them yet.
I hope so too. Andrew got his yesterday. He did a little bit of an unboxing on the Discord. His stuff looks pretty cool, and we just lost Elliot.
I'm gonna fix this in a second, but at some point I'll be able to show you what's on my workbench.
Yeah. Brian is fighting a frozen condensate pipe, I believe. Jesse is also working on some water damage repairs. So I don't think we'll see Jesse. I hope we'll see Brian. And if not, man, it's you and me. And if you have to go, it's me working on my project. So
Yeah, so the question is how to get my camera to output something useful. When I hit these buttons here, it looks like
I we just lost Elliot. Hey, Elliot, don't hit that button. Hit a different button. Or hit that one twice. I don't know. Hit it harder. Don't hit it so hard. I don't know. The joys of live production. It's never the easy way. So we'll give Elliot a minute to come back. There he is.
this is what we got going on. I need to make that better because it's working, but it's you guys see two of something and then a bunch of noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not intended.
Really, because if that's what you intended to do, it came out swimmingly.
Well, let's see. I don't know how to work this business.
Now I'm curious what you're doing.
Well, what I did is I just stuck I've got a USB like capture device plugged into the video out of a DSLR. So it's
Right?
a overkill webcam, but it's clearly not working the way it's intended.
No, I would say you're right with that. Is it too cold or something?
I don't know. Let's try to unplug it and plug it back in again.
Always a good trick.
All right. Nope, that's even worse. Huh. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Well, the video capture or the camera output seems fine. It seems to be something with the video capture.
Yeah, guess that's what you get when you pay $8 for the thing. Weirdly, I've changed nothing since the last time I plugged it in. So,
Percussive maintenance?
yeah, maybe I need to smack it. I
It could.
wonder.
How cold's your workshop?
Oh, I'm actually in the house. It's nice and toasty in here.
Oh. Well, then I am plumb out of ideas.
I need a technician. So yeah, I guess we won't look at my thing. It's exactly like it looked on the webcam. You could see it twice.
Yay! It's just really small.
Yeah, I will
You want
show
to hold it
you.
up in front of your face instead?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me switch here. I just wanted to show you the one big mistake I made, and you'll laugh. Okay.
There, I
So
laughed.
this is the board that goes. It's got most of the fun stuff on it. And you can
Right.
see around the perimeter there are a handful of blurry, like this guy here, that's a mounting hole. There's one here. And so this was meant to kind of screw down through the, let's see, there's a sandwich of boards here. So top board is the frame holding all the keys together. Underneath it is the one I just showed you. Underneath that is a piece of acrylic, and underneath that is a piece of wood.
Got
The
it.
idea was you'd put a screw down through that second board into the bottom. So I put holes in there, and then I made this frame that goes on top, and you'll notice there's no clearance to get to any of those screw holes. So I made an unassemblable assembly.
No, that's not necessarily true.
Well, glue fixed it, but
I was
it
going to
doesn't feel
say
right.
magnets, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's for the next revision. So it's I should have I don't know. It would be nice to have more than one board in KiCad in the same project, so you could like pick one up and drop it on top of the other,
Yeah.
just to confirm that everything aligns. I'm sure I could have done it if I tried harder. But yeah, that's it.
Did you paper doll it?
Nope. I considered it, and then I was like, I don't feel like getting paper in the printer. So
When the boards are, $1 a square
that's
foot,
the
you're just,
problem.
who cares?
Yeah, it's like, do I even want to? So no. That actually the board you did the DFM for was a 4-layer board,
Mhm.
and then I looked at the price and it was like $40, and I said, no way, man. So I just redid the whole thing in 2 layers, and actually it wasn't much harder. I didn't put a lot of forethought into pins and kind of the layout. So my NeoPixel chain does kind of like 2.5 complete laps around the board, where it probably would have been easier to route if they were sort of done in the order that they're physically on the board. But it's kind of a trade-off. I used a single chain of them, and having one key and then one of the backlights and then one encoder, then going back to the next key would have been kind of annoying to program, I think, because if you wanted to fade the whole group of them on the front of the board, but like every third one is on the back, it'd be kind of annoying. So
Got it. Yeah. Now, how much time did it take, or how much extra time do you think it took you to route that as a 2-layer compared to a 4-layer?
Actually, I would say maybe 20%, but it didn't feel like it took any longer. And the reason was I just didn't worry too much about how chopped up the ground plane was and just kind of did whatever. But yeah, starting from scratch, going with 4 layers is like takes half the time because you just set one aside for ground and or whatever you got to do. But there's so many more options to get from A to B.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it cut your cost from, $40 down to $20. So
Oh, it was $40 down to $2.
yeah. Okay. So it's ridiculous. Because it's so cheap. It cuts so many steps out of the process. So really, however much you make an hour, does that mean that you can shave, an hour off of your routing time?
Yep.
If it does, you might as well just do 4. I mean, for projects like this anyway. If you're doing something that's going to go into mass production, right? You're making an iPhone. If you can save 10 cents a board and
Right.
you're making 1 million devices, you do it. But for what we're doing, all these protos and messing around, I just do 4 and
Yeah. And I
smile.
do like the challenge, do it the hard way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the things, with Oshpark, the 4-layer board, the price and the lead time increases pretty significantly again. And I want to try to use them on some projects, but it's really hard to justify for stuff like this.
The only thing I ever ask is that you keep it in mind. And if it works out on something, great. If it doesn't, I understand. I'm not asking you to go spend money just to prove a point.
Well,
And I don't think
it's
the sponsors would expect that either.
it's fine. It's the morally correct thing to do.
It's not as big a deal as you might think, and it's not an issue of morality. There's plenty of business out there. There's plenty of money to go around. Um, we want, or at least, my goal and the main sponsors of this course, the people that donate the most money to make this happen, Advanced Assembly and Royal Circuit Solutions, are by far the largest supporters of this course. We're doing this as kind of a way to give back. You hear people complaining, I think it was last year, well, the post office doesn't make money or whatever. Yeah, well, neither does the library. It's not
Yep.
there. It's a service. And that's kind of how we view the course. It's there to kind of raise the tide throughout the whole ecosystem wherever possible. Because, now that you have these skills, now that you see that the entry is so low, I mean, if you wanted to, granted, you've made like 3 versions of this board at this point, but if you wanted to, other than time, your cost commitment is what? $50?
Yeah, it's pretty trivial. I mean, it's 2 pizzas, maybe 3 pizzas.
Yeah. I mean, would you ever have thought that?
No, not looking at it from the outside.
No, not at all. So that's one of the points that we want to prove. Now, if you're a big company, if you're Boeing, if you're HP, if you're whoever, somebody who needs 10,000 boards, we absolutely want you to consider us. We're going to make great boards for you. Make sure you have a great experience, but that's really who Advanced Assembly and Royal. I mean, we will make one board. Absolutely. We'll make 10,000 boards, whatever you want, but we're not trying to nickel and dime people. Just, we're not trying to nickel and dime students, and what's the point?
This is a good use of time, is putting on a course like this rather than making 400 unique prototypes for people that 99% of the time won't be buying anything beyond that.
Yeah. So morally, don't worry about it. Just keep us in mind. And if it works out from a business perspective, we'd love to work with you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's cool. So what do you think your next project's going to be?
Well, I was going to redo, excuse me. Sorry, redo the word clock I've got here in a little bit more of a sensible way, easier to assemble, and probably do something with a footprint, have a bit of stuff on there so I can switch between a Pico or a Nano or a handful of other microcontrollers, just to make a funky footprint that'll accommodate them all and route it the same, so it's easy. I posted the design files for my original one on Instructables a couple years ago, but it'd be kind of fun to just make the project, document it, and then share it again. But I've got one other one that's all through-hole parts, but it'd be fun to go surface mount with. It's basically a stepper driver with a ESP32. But I'm learning, I've been reading for the last couple of days about photogrammetry. Are you familiar with that? It's basically 3D scanning with a camera.
There's a lot of different ways. Yeah. How are you going to go about doing it?
Well, what I've got behind me on the ground, and it's humongous, is it's not a turntable, but it's a rig that orbits well, in this case, a camera around a stationary platform. You put an object on there. So I've kind of already got the hardware for it. I want to start using it to do some scans and see what I can accomplish. But the nice thing about it is the controller is fairly programmable from your phone. It's got it's running a web server, and it's got all kinds of cool stuff, little user interface there, web page. But it seems like a natural thing to do with a device that can rotate a camera around an object. Why not use it for scanning a 3D model? So that's what I want to try next.
So there's a few different ways to go about it. It sounds like you're just going to be taking a series of pictures and stitching them all together.
That's the cheapest way because I already own cameras. But there's all kinds of approaches. It looks like LiDAR on the new iPhones, and then there's some time of flight stuff and all kinds of weird sensors. I was just going to stick with the basic.
Yeah, the time of flight sensors. I haven't seen any that I've been happy with yet, that I've been willing to put money out for. Occipital has the stuff. Actually, I think Occipital's the technology in the new iPhone, if I remember correctly. There's, what's it called? I thought I had one sitting around. I've actually got some time of flight cameras floating around back from when I was writing for All About Circuits. The technology in it is absolutely fascinating, but when you're trying to get fine detail, they're just not meant for it, right? They're great for slam. For, if you want a robot running around your living room, great for that.
Right.
But if you're trying to pick up, millimeter scale precision off stuff, it's just me.
Yeah, the thing that feels like a gap that I haven't tried it yet, so I wanna find out if it's true. But usually when you're like, I'm doing like a less artistic, more of like an actual 3D model where it might have a radius that you want to match or bolt holes in particular locations that do matter. And haven't seen beyond getting like one of those fancy CMMs, like an efficient way to go from like a point cloud to a real model. So I was curious to see like how much detail you can achieve. Like, could I scan the back of my cell phone and 3D print a case for it? Or would I just be getting a funky shape and it would be similar to a cell phone and look good from a distance, but not fit mechanically?
So I would think that there are a few variables you need to pull out of the equation. Lens distortion is one of them. So my latest favorite thing for that is something called a telecentric lens.
Right. I think I saw an applied science video where he made one to the extreme.
Yeah, I bought one. Actually, I bought like a dozen of them. I can ship you one if you want.
I don't think I have anything it fit on, but yeah, well, he did one
there's
with a humongous lens that was like 12 inches in diameter.
Oh,
I
really?
don't know if you caught that video or not. I'll have to find a link to it.
No, I'll have to take a look. These are C-mount
Okay.
lenses.
Yeah.
So, I went to a factory auction a little while back, and I just pulled them all in. It was great. So the nice thing about that is there's no perspective distortion, right? Even if something's blurry, it's going to be measured accurately.
Mhm.
So if you have something, like say, here's a motor from a hard drive platter, in the things that are closer to it are going to be larger than the things that are further away from it. Well, you don't have that problem with telecentric lenses.
Right.
So those are kind of cool. The nice thing about a 12-inch is theoretically the limit of a telecentric lens is, since there's no zoom, it's the diameter of the lens. So if he's got a 12-inch lens, wherever he got his 12-inch lens from, he should be able to capture things that are 12 inches big without that distortion problem. So, we've got a Bob Tipton joining us, but we're still waiting on video there. So, Bob, when you're able to get that, we'll add you on.
Right on.
He's unmuted. Let's
Yeah,
add him and see if he can talk. Bob?
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, Bob.
Hi,
There
how
we
are
go.
you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Is this your first time here?
It is.
Outstanding. Okay. Then before we do anything, I have a quiz for you.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Hold on. Let me get you on full screen. Okay. Don't worry. It's a quiz that I typically give 6-year-olds.
Oh, that just makes it worse.
All right. How do you put an elephant in a refrigerator?
One bite at a time.
No. No. You just open the door, you put the elephant in, and you close the door. Right? Simple quiz, Bob. Don't overthink it.
Okay.
Okay. Next. How do you put a giraffe in a refrigerator?
You open the door, you put the giraffe in, and you close the door.
Dear Lord, no. Bob, you have to take the elephant out first. How's your short-term memory treating you?
Not well, apparently.
Not well. Okay, that's okay. Let's go in a different direction here. Lion, king of the jungle. He holds a meeting and he invites all of the animals in his kingdom to come. All except one animal. What animal doesn't come?
The giraffe.
That's right. He's in the refrigerator. You're getting the hang of it. Okay, now I want you to go on a journey with me onto the Nile, right? Rivers famously infested with piranha. Nobody ever gets across without being eaten alive. But you're able to do it. How do you swim across the Nile without being eaten alive by piranha?
And I have to swim.
You have to swim.
Okay. I don't know. How would I get across?
You just swim across, Bob. Remember the piranha at the meeting with the lion.
Oh, gosh.
All right. I'm doing those so I can get some authentic smiles for thumbnails.
Oh, okay.
Bob's never coming back.
No. So, well, Bob, what brings you by tonight, man? Welcome.
I just saw the notice on Discord, and I just finished another meeting, so I thought it would be interesting. And I think it said that you had some boards to show off. So
Yeah, we were hoping a few more people would come, but Elliot's just showed his, and I'm sure he'll show it again. He's awful proud of his.
I'm so proud of it. I really need to get this my DSLR working. This is purple.
oh,
It's
nice.
JLPCB purple, and this is the same thing, and it's far better looking because it has copper underneath it. The purple solder mask looks pretty dull without it, and it's much more shiny with copper underneath.
Oh, nice.
But my webcam's pretty crap. But I made a 2-layer deal. The one with all the square holes in it fits keyboard keys. They snap into it, so that's a frame on top. And then, of course, they solder down to the bottom here.
Oh,
and
neat.
it's it's exactly the left-hand side of a keyboard, minus the caps lock key. I used all the pins on the microcontroller, and it's got like 30 neopixels on it. And it works.
Oh,
The
so you
only-
made one already.
I've made 3 already.
Oh, God.
I've been cheating. But yep, I just got these on Monday and assembled it, and it all is functional. I made a couple goofs with the mounting holes and a couple other little minor things, but functionality wise, it's all there. I'm really happy about that.
Oh, that's nice. It looks good.
Do you have one of your round ones around?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So this is minus buttons. This was the first one I made. So it's just a circle, 8 buttons, encoder in the middle. It's a sandwich PCB 1/4-inch piece of acrylic with a bunch of holes cut in it for clearance on all the components on the bottom of the board. And then just a piece of steel on the bottom, so it weighs like a pound. Same exact thing with switches.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, it should work. So,
Neat.
oh, hey, a window popped up. Okay, so I have LEDs on the bottom side of the board, and they actually just shine into that piece of acrylic, so it's kind of an edge lit effect. And then there's some underneath the keys as well. I don't remember which buttons. Some of these do something.
Yeah, you need a
One
way
of
to
them.
index that.
Yeah, that's a huge flaw of this design. So this one changes the color. Nope. One of them should change the animation that's going on, but I actually have no idea which one it is. Oh, hey,
There you
yeah,
go.
check it out. So it's
So cool.
I'm really pleased with the knob. So what I did is, you can't see it because it's on my computer, but when you rotate this thing, one of the modes it has is it hits Alt Tab. But if you're on a Windows machine and you hit Alt Tab and then keep hitting, hit Alt Tab, hold Alt down, arrow cursor keys right and left, it'll switch between all of your open windows. So that's what it does. When you start rotating it, it holds it down, and then you can dial through all of your apps. And then if you pause for a half second, it releases all the keys and selects it. So
Oh, that's neat.
one useful thing that it does.
It's
is
very
neat.
cool. Elliot, do you have any old monitors lying around?
Yes. Yes, I do.
So if you ever take apart an old monitor, the only reason I say that is because I've got an old monitor sitting right here. There's some holographic film in the back of it.
I've
Right?
saved one of those from a 40-inch TV.
I bet if you cut it and put it in the bottom of those things along with the diffuser, like a little piece of vellum or even tissue paper,
Mhm.
I bet you that would really spread out that light nicely.
Yeah, so it has a kind of cool look to it, but you're right, it's not very diffused. I also have the brightness on this like way down. It's like 10%. There's a lot of internal reflection, but even though it's shining down into a piece of steel, it's like the full brightness back into your eyeballs. So yeah, the other thing too is probably just sanding the outside of the acrylic would diffuse it, or using a frosted one that was not as transparent. But yes, I just made this idea up one day. It's kind of nice. I find the blinky lights on your desk are really annoying, actually. So it looks
You could
neat,
have
but
it. You could have it sleep.
yeah, and it does eventually, actually, because not sure why. I think there's a overflow, or not an overflow, something wrapping around in the Pico. There's a time function which gives you like number of milliseconds since it booted, but it wraps around to 0 after some long amount of time. And I don't think I properly accounted for that. So eventually this animation of it rotating or breathing it doesn't freeze, it just stops having any delay for the next animation frame. So they go like crazy fast or turn off. So yeah, it totally sleeps.
It's not a flaw. It's a feature.
It's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah. Very cool. So yeah, Elliot's definitely jumped into the course with both feet. I still have my first board where I haven't even flipped the LEDs yet. It's just been
Oh, we need to do that. You're almost to the end of the class. You got to have a working example.
Well, okay, so here's my plan. Except this week, I don't know. I've had things come up, but one of the reasons I never got around to doing that was I bought a stencil. I still want to record how to stencil, print, and reflow. It's just every time I think things are going well and I'll have time for it, 15 things pop up and then get those 15 things knocked down. And then, hey, I can do it tomorrow. And then, like I got emails right now. I was asking a vendor where some stuff is that I've been trying to get from him for 3 months. And he hasn't replied back or anything. He's like, oh yeah, well, we shipped that out 2 months ago.
Great.
It's like, you think I'm going to be able to find it now? I'm going to have to drive down to Orange County and look for it myself. And it's like, it's just life. You know how it goes. I'm not complaining. It's just the way things are.
Oh, I forgot to mention, which I totally wanted to mention. These encoders, I'm not a big fan of them. They have, I don't know if you can see it, but they have a ton of play. And they don't give like that knob is a tight fit. I don't know if you have the same thing on yours, but they just don't give a quality feeling to like a device. The ones that aren't illuminated, the cheapo ones that aren't even real encoders that I've been using, are a bit better, but it's almost a shame because the rest of the keys, with the key switches we use, they all feel pretty nice. And these things are sad. So that's my feedback for these encoders.
Interesting.
They're a novelty, but I wouldn't want them on a device that I used.
Interesting. I wouldn't ever select them for a device that I used simply because of the cost.
That
these things are like $4 or $5 a piece. I would put a cheap encoder and then LEDs near it and make it work. I never noticed the slop in the encoder wheel. Probably because I never got around to finishing mine. So
Yeah, I didn't notice it until I put a knob on there, and then it really like kind of exaggerates the loose quality that it has. So anywho,
so Bob, how's your experiment coming along?
Well, I think I just self-joined the course a couple of days ago.
Oh, I was going to say, I didn't recognize your name, but I mean, there's like 600 people signed up. There's a lot of names I don't recognize, so I wasn't worried about that.
But I had, I had always had an interest in electronics, but had never had taken the risk of doing a PCB because it used to be really expensive. And I did one with the JL PCB, and I made a lot of mistakes on it, but it was interesting enough that I started looking around for ways to learn how to do it better. And I can't remember how I found it, but I found this course. And so I think I've only gone through the first section of the first book, and I'm more or less halfway through the second book. So I think I'm somewhere in the second week.
Okay. So please, by all means, continue. The contents there, we'll have to be sure to make sure that we're checking up and answering your questions as you need them. But sign up in the Discord. That seems to be where you get an immediate response to your questions. And then I'm hoping, once we hear back on next year's budget, that we'll be able to do this course again next year, early part of next year, where you can go through with a cohort of people too, which should hopefully be a more fulfilling experience, I hope.
Yeah, we're just kind of at the tail end here where we're hopefully getting our boards delivered and building them up.
Yeah. Andrew's was pretty cool. Ferguson, he showed us his yesterday. Were you there for that, Elliot? Or
I saw it on Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen several of them on Discord.
And then, I mean, right now we're in the part of the course where we're letting everybody, order their stuff and get it back, and then we're going to start putting it together. So this is a good spot for inspiration. Certainly, this upcoming week or so. Have you given any thought to what design you might want, or what general design you want yet? Or
I've thought about it a lot. I haven't come up with an answer I'm happy with yet, but I've had a couple of ideas.
You don't really need to commit until like week 5 or 6. So you got plenty of time, but tell us what you're thinking.
Well, I do programming as my day job. And so when I use the IDE, I'm usually almost 100% keyboard. But if I use, there are a couple of, I'll do some things in Unity, which you have to use the mouse, and then I'm sort of limited. So I'd like to, I'm trying to think of a good form factor that would let me, with my left hand, try to do almost as much as I could with a full keyboard while I'm still using the mouse.
Okay.
I don't know if if you can do, multiple key presses combinations. Like if you've ever seen like the accessibility, gosh, this was 40 years ago, but there was a thing called a twiddler.
Yeah, they still have those.
Okay, it still exists.
Yeah.
So something along those lines where you could press combinations of keys to do things. And possibly, what I really would like to do is have a connector so that I can move one of the switches down to the floor as a foot switch.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
because
I don't see why that
greatly
would be a problem.
increases my number of inputs I can do.
Maybe
you got to do toe switches.
I can't move individual toes.
Not yet. You can't.
Not yet. That's true.
No, hey, absolutely you can do that. And probably the easiest way to do that would be like a phono plug. Because then you don't even have to make your own switch. I wonder if I have one here. Hi, kitties. No, this isn't treat time. I didn't stop the video for kitty treat time. I stopped it to look for a foot switch. I know it's hard to tell the difference when you're a cat. Here it is. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. So then, you just plug in your, in this case, a little, is that a 3.5 or 2.5 millimeter jack?
Looks like 3.5.
3.5. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. I
Yeah.
think with a couple of foot switches and the right arrangement on the board, you could get a lot of inputs in with just one hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Or you
why I
could
went.
take a,
I was gonna say that's what I was going for with this like left half of a keyboard, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm used to like 8,000 different Control Alt Shift whatevers. I thought it'd be cool to build a macro board that you could still use all of the old muscle memory you have, and then just switch it to another layout where you can have individually programmed keys. Because it kind of feels unnatural to have a full keyboard and this, and needed to go between one to like hit some keystroke and then back to your fun one for the others. You kind of want to make sure you get as much as possible in your device, and then stay away from the keyboard unless you have to.
Yeah, I guess that's what I was thinking is if I'm on the keyboard, I've got two hands here, and then when I move one hand out to the mouse, I'd move the other hand to the, the macro keyboard.
but yeah, you can absolutely do that. You can program any one key to be any multiple key presses, or in your case, you're going to be programming multiple keys switches to be, individual or combo keys or whatever. Yeah, you can program whatever you want on that side of things very easily.
I think CircuitPython, the library, does up to 6 simultaneous keyboard presses, which is probably plenty.
Yeah, that's probably more than I can do mechanically with my hand. Whack your head down on the desk.
So, and hey, Scott, how are you tonight?
All right, how you guys doing?
Good, man. We haven't seen you in a little while. Welcome back.
Yeah, I've been busy doing housework.
Happens to the best of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I finally got caught up, I think, and I could start diving into the Python. I haven't done much Python. I've looked at Python here and there, but that's going to be, I think, my challenge at the moment is just getting into Python.
Well, really, we're at a spot, I think, where we can largely drag and drop stuff on. We've got the basics of a code base, I think, that Elliot's building off of, that we could probably send your way. Really, you'd have to figure out if you've got your LEDs on different pins or anything, and if you've, what you want your switches to do. But I don't think you need to get overwhelmed by that. I think there's enough out there that you can steal from us, and you'll be well on your way to enjoying the rest of your life without.
Yeah, no, if there's a base, if there's some kind of I'm familiar with programming, so if there's at least some kind of a base that I can look at and figure out, okay, this is doing that. I usually can figure out what I want to do from there. Going from scratch, it's not as easy, I think, for me.
Yeah,
So,
the Adafruit libraries for CircuitPython, like if you just Google CircuitPython NeoPixel, there's a really like copy paste that chunk, change the pin numbers, and you'll have a working prototype. Same for the keyboard. So there's like 3 devices the Pico will emulate, at least with their libraries. There's one called, it does a keyboard. There's one called a consumer control, and that's like the media buttons on like a keyboard, like volume and mute and stuff. And there's a third, I guess it's a HID profile or what these are. There's one for a mouse, so you can send mouse clicks, mouse movements, and stuff like that. So if you Google any of those, you'll get to a place where you can get a working example pretty easily, and then kind of build off of it.
I haven't dived into any of that yet. I just ordered all the few parts that I needed for it to just a little while ago. So hopefully I'll be able to start building it in the next couple weeks and playing around at least you can play around with the Pico that I have, and do a little bit of playing around with that. They have some programming.
Yeah, I would recommend once you get to building this, get just a sketch or a simple example that will light up your NeoPixels.
Yeah.
And put it on your Pico before you solder it to the board. And then as you go, like get the USB connector, and as you add LEDs, like keep testing it, turn it on,
I
make
saw you
sure they
post
all
that.
light up. Yeah, it will save you time. I don't know why, but the LEDs are the component I've had the hardest time soldering. So that has helped me not get to the end and have 30 of them and not know which one is making it not work.
I gotta say, Elliot, I'm feeling pretty attacked right now.
Hey, I put them all on straight. I just have bad solder joints.
And then Scott and Bob, since you're both programmers, were you around the week that we had Walkway? Yuri Shaked come by?
I actually watched it. I after the presentation, and jumped over to his site and started poking around and playing with stuff. Definitely an interesting project. I liked it. It was cool.
Yeah. So Bob, I know you're kind of new. So my friend Yuri has a Raspberry Pi Pico emulator. It's pretty cool.
Here, I'll show you.
Oh, Elliot's coming on with there we go.
All right. I Googled you, Bob. You're a motivational speaker. Yeah, I think I shared this in the Discord, but I actually have a Pico, 2 encoders, what is this, 10 switches and 10 NeoPixels. And this is not good coding, but I want to say it's functional. So this will do something. Oh yeah. So it doesn't work very well at all. In fact, I've only got 8 LEDs, but you can see it's changing colors and running a little animation here. But this code is all functional. You're welcome to steal it. This is based on kind of like the very basics of the components in the kit. And there's not much to it. But yeah, it's pretty neat. There's a couple tricks that don't make sense, but the main one for me was adding this delay at the end of the main loop. It actually makes the simulation go faster. On my machine, we're only achieving like half of real time or a third. I don't know why, but without this line, it's like way worse.
Is it
But
making the simulation run faster, or is it just telling you that the simulation's running faster?
It is. You can see the speed of that like animation is far slower here. And it's reporting 9 or 10%.
That sounds like a bug you might need to report.
Yuri suggested I do that to make it go faster. And there's probably a complicated reason.
Is it aliasing maybe? No,
I don't know.
That wouldn't make sense. I don't know what's happening.
I don't know what it is. It's not intuitive. But I think I can share this by simply copy pasting. Anyone can steal it. So if you're interested, you guys are welcome.
Yeah. Do you want to send that in the private chat and then I'll share it on the stream?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, we'll look at the infinite private chat. Yeah, or throw the code away. But I think, I guess I could show you this too. This is all wired up pretty much like the reference design from very early on in the course. And I'm trying to think. Most of the wires are hidden. I did that by deleting their color. If we wanted to see the color, we would do Yeah. So you can examine how it's actually been connected here, but it matches the original kind of idea. There's probably a lot of tricks that aren't obvious. I don't know very many of them, but there is a good, there's some help documentation here. I could do, no, it doesn't work. So hey, okay, there's the wires. So you can examine it, figure out how it's wired up. It's ugly, but it works.
Yeah, or adapt the wiring for your design.
Yep. It's not too hard to build the little layout here, but it's nice to start with something that's already good to go. So yeah, just hit the plus. These aren't sorted. RGB LED is not a NeoPixel. It's a regular LED with 3 deals in there. But yeah, I don't know. Ask me a question. Maybe I'll find the answer and learn something.
So very cool. Well, thank you for sharing, sir.
You betcha.
Yeah, thanks.
So Scott, were you able to order yours? I think we did your DFM, right?
I didn't order it yet. I was still going through it just to make sure. I actually built the board with the nightly builds from KiCad 6. I started using that a year ago or so and playing around with it as I was doing some stuff, and it was pretty good for the most part. But then I saw they released 6 on Christmas Day, so I said, "Oh, let's do the stable version of that," and I threw that on there. And it's complaining about a couple of wires that don't have connections at the end of, so it's like wires that go nowhere. Now, every one that I've looked at so far is connected to a pad. So I think it's either the fact that I did that with a pre long-term release kind of thing versus the nightly build. So I'm pretty sure I can order it. So I was looking to take one more look at it either later tonight or tomorrow, and then order the boards.
Yeah, that could potentially be scary. Does it tell you which nets have those issues?
It does, and it actually when you click on when you do the DRC, it actually, when you click on one of the error reports, it actually brings you to an arrow that's either yellow or red that is completely different color than most things on the board, that actually points to like, all right, here's the problem. So you can kind of look at it and say, okay, yeah, no, I can see that wire is actually going straight into a pad versus it's just hanging out in the middle of nowhere. So it is pretty easy to go through them all and do that. But I don't remember how many I had like that, but I didn't see any that didn't actually connect to a pad. So I think I'm all right. And the solder, silk and the solder layers, where we should be okay with the board house just ripping out stuff that doesn't line up and overwrite stuff. So I think we'll be good to go.
There should be a net list or a net connectivity checker somewhere as part of the DRC inside KiCad.
Yeah, actually, and I didn't think about that. What's weird is when you're actually laying out the board in KiCad, at the bottom, like status bar, there's actually like how many unconnected nets you have. I have no unconnected nets when I lay out the board. But when I run the DRC, it's showing wires that don't have connections. So that's why I think I'm safe. But have you noticed that, Elliot?
Yeah, not in 6 yet, but I have noticed something. And they're probably like little dangling ends. Like your net is completely routed, but there may be like a line segment in that trace that truly doesn't go anywhere.
I did catch one of those, and that's what I'm thinking. I thought about that the other night last night when I was looking at it. I was like, I got this little dot that's just kind of hanging out somewhere because you move something and that little trace didn't move.
They get left underneath vias, is what I've started noticing. Is like you route a trace into a via, and it looks great and everything's fine. But if you pick up and move the via, you'll notice like the traces that are stuck to it go with it. But it also leaves behind this little tiny segment of a trace where the via was. That's what I've been noticing in 5. And I wonder if you have a couple of those hiding out So they wouldn't
I'll
cause a
I'll
problem.
have to go look at that.
They're probably underneath a connected trace, but they're the same width and they're in the same place, that they're pretty much invisible. But you might try clicking and see if it
Oh.
asks you what you try to select, and it may give you an option of this trace or that trace. So that's
Alright.
kind of like a overlap. That would be my guess if they don't
Yeah,
look
that makes
obvious.
complete sense now that you mentioned that. It's just like 'cause I did see one. I'm like, all right, well, let's just get rid of this little dangler. And I think the count went down by one when I did that, but I really wasn't thinking much about it at the time. I was just kind of like, all right. And so I think you might be onto something with that.
Yeah. On the other hand, it shouldn't be a problem because the way Gerbers work is it just flattens the whole thing, and one
Mhm.
layer is one layer, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good call, Elliot. That could very well be the issue. And then the other thing too is, well, two other things. One, see if you can go back and compare to schematic one last time.
Okay.
I know I can do that in DipTrace. I don't know about KiCad. And then finally, did you see all the stuff we did? Well, we didn't do all the stuff, it's just one or two comments here and there about making a paper doll.
No, I don't remember seeing that.
Okay, so you're going to want to print out your top and bottom layers to scale, right? So it does require calibrating your printer a little bit, or printing the top and bottom layers and then taking them into some graphics program and then stretching them or shrinking them if you need to. And then you take those pieces of paper and you put your parts on there and you make sure your parts fit.
Okay, I got what you're saying. Yeah, I do. I have in the past, like, just print stuff out for scale, because it was like you watch it, you're doing it on the screen, and you're like, how big is that really if I actually like look at it? And I've printed it out to scale on paper and like measured it on the paper, and it's just like that seems like it's accurate. Just again, I get a real sense of how big or small things are. Like, can I really squeeze two resistors that close together and maybe able to solder them? And
Yeah.
some of those things that the courses presented are like brought those things to light a little bit more, I guess. But it's definitely something that I've done a couple of times. I haven't actually put the parts on it, so when I get the parts in, I'll actually have to do that and actually create a mock-up of it and see how everything actually lays out.
Now, the good news is if you do screw something up, and I mean, let's say it's irretrievable, you're out $15.
Yeah, the PCBs weren't bad at all. From at least the JCL. I couldn't believe how much more OSH was for the same boards.
Well, I have expensive tastes, Scott. Somebody's paying for that stuff. It better be. No, I'm kidding.
I noticed.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think I might have mentioned it before. DigiKey makes board, or they have. Do you guys make the boards for DigiKey?
We're one of the people
DigiKey Red.
Yeah, we're one of the people that do that too. So.
Yeah, I had looked at that a while ago when I saw they announced it, like, oh yeah, we'll make boards for you. And it's just like, all right, another interesting option. But again, it's on the upper end of the scale. It's just like for small things. It's
the
hobbyist kind of stuff. It's a little too much.
The space isn't that large. There's not that many companies that are doing it anymore, and the companies that are here, we're consolidating. I mean, Royal's running around buying a bunch of places right now. So, it's one of those things. Are you guys one of? Yeah, it's going to be us or, the company across the street. It's. So I've only run into one company that didn't play nice in the sandbox. There's like 200 of us. There's only one at trade shows that we stay away from. That just because they're just openly hostile to everybody. Just and I'm not going to say their name, but I will tell you this: whenever we have a new person at the trade show, we do tend to often say, hey, go check out what they're doing.
Go say hi to that guy.
It happened to me. They did it to me. They're like, yeah, Mark, yeah, just go say hi. They love us. Now, here's the funny part. Most places do, it's fine. It's, it's a friendly rivalry, it's no big deal. So, you don't think anything of it. So until flames start coming out the ears. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me this evening. Anything else for the good of the cause? Or Bob, do you have questions as you're...
Oh, no, I'm just wading through more electronics than I know.
A lot of that I do for the electrical engineers. So, if you're, reading a lot of that circuit analysis stuff, and you're like, oh, you don't need to. You're going to be fine.
It's like Legos. You just got to put it all together.
Yeah. So, and then we have new forums now, which are like 100% improved from the old forums. So, except that the old forums were so bad, everybody gave up on the forums and went over to Discord. But we'll have that for next time, thanks to Elliot there. So, but you're on Discord with us, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect.
It's hard to beat Discord. The price is right.
Yeah. Can't be free. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for coming by. We'll get spun back up on the week of the 3rd. Everybody should hopefully have their boards in hand by then. And we'll be ready to assemble and program together. So it should be fun.
Right on.
Cool.
All right. And Bob, work at your pace, man. And reach out if you need help.
Okay, I appreciate it.
No way. Hurry up and order some boards.
So, all right, everyone. We'll have a great evening. And thank you to all our sponsors who help us. Advanced Assembly, Royal Circuit Solutions, DigiKey, Walkwe, TheAnalog.io, Fixture Fab, and anybody else I'm forgetting. Thank you for helping to make this possible. We've got a good thing going. Let's keep it going. We'll see y'all in the new year. Bye.
Bye. Bye.